10 years, one cosmos known worldwide as GeekFestUniverse, a celebration of storytellers and the worlds they brought to life. From lightsabers to lab coats, time loops to space detectives, from films about the end of the world to films about why the world ends, we've screened it all. Superheroes flying high, monsters lurking low, and epic battles in galaxies far, far away. From Jedi duels in backyards to Batman in therapy, fan films brought the fandom to the front row. Drawn, rendered, and digital truths that stop-motioned our hearts. Sometimes no dialogue, sometimes no gravity, always pure imagination. Time loops, space dust, alt history tales where Nikola Tesla fights zombies. We didn't always get it, but we always loved it, and because not every story fits in a box. When the geeks get technical, films about real science, fake science, and sentient AI bent on film festival domination. Some taught us, some terrified us. One definitely predicted the singularity. New formats, same geek spirit, vertical thrillers, TikTok-style storytelling, mobile-first narratives, bite-sized epics that fit in your pocket, but blew our minds. From behind the scenes of conventions, comic books to deep dives into fandom lore. 10 years of fearless filmmakers. 10 years of unapologetic geekery. One festival universe big enough for all of it. GeekFestUniverse. Let's rewind the reel.
What have you learned about yourself through the making of your film?
There's conversations, isn't there, everyone, about canon and what's canon and what's canon, what's not canon. I don't think it matters. I think you do what you do, you make what you make. And if people want to love it, they love it. If they don't, they don't. You know, I mean, as a filmmaker, I do it for me, which I hope then everybody else likes too. And sometimes you win and sometimes you lose.
That I love storytelling. If we didn't tell stories, we'd just be funny looking apes running around, right? But we're able to tell stories, and that's how we build the world and imagine the world.
The only reason to make the movie is to tell a good story.
When you have comics artists that can write and draw, you get this unique insight into a unified way of looking at the world. In a film festival, we know that films take a huge team to make. A lot of the compromises that come about because of that, I think, are ultimately beneficial. But this happens to be one medium where you really get a lot just by peeking inside of one person's brain.
I always kind of intended to take the visual communication power of this medium of animation and apply it to teaching and telling stories. We're all filmmakers, we're all drawn to communicate with audiences and tell these stories, but I think these are the stories that I'm drawn towards because for me, they fundamentally change, how you see your world. And I wasn't into math as, when I was going through school. That was not something I really cared about. I was an artist. But, again, realizing how empowering these things are. When you can, again, I can do something as profound as measuring the earth. I can understand the fourth dimension. I can understand all these other kind of concepts. If this compelling and visual medium, that's a very empowering thing I hope to give to an audience.
I like drama, but more interesting is a documentary, short documentary. Short is essence.
I really enjoyed the process working with them. I'm hoping that we'll find some other way of reaching out to the general public and sharing the passion and the excitement of physics.
I always envied astronomers. They can just show people stars and planets and galaxies. If I really wanted to attract somebody to physics, I would probably choose astronomy as a way of doing it. Fundamental science is not about making bread cheaper or anything. It's about curiosity, and this is the passion about curiosity is what we're trying to transmit to people in our film.
Well, I've learned about a lot of physics about asteroids, of course. And just what I've learned is that we are lucky on this small planet.
The right lesson will come at the right time, no matter whom the necessary texture is. And for those who live in a world in this way, the Earth is a magical place of constant marvels.
There was an opportunity to be an extra in a production that was being shot where I live. And I thought, I should do that. and it was so much fun. I met so many interesting people. I just decided I want to do more of this, and I can because I'm retired and I'm just learning. Every time I do something new, I learn more, and it's just been a great experience.
I got back in touch with my acting self. I had stopped acting around the age of 18, so there was this huge gap. So I remember feeling quite anxious about, oh my gosh, I haven't done this in a while. Afterwards, I remember thinking, wow, this is something that I really enjoyed doing, and I haven't had like this much fun in like a number of years. So it's kind of allowing me to maybe reconsider maybe getting back into it as a hobby.
Listening to them talk actually made me feel like I was in the movie industry. That was huge, huge for me to hear them talk, and I'd be like, oh wow.
Lines between professional and amateur have blurred, and I suppose this was just an extension of that. And I started thinking, could we do something to make this, I don't want to sound arrogant about it, but give a meaning to it, give a focus to fans for something to do.
I guess what I learned from filmmaking before is just being economic with everything. You know, how can you ask friends for favors? How can you pay them back later? How can you shoot things yourself, edit things yourself? How can you put together a story with very little money and no elements? So that's kind of what I learned.
Fonts are like public domain to use and stuff. So it's an interesting shape field to do. So even with no budget, you can accomplish any film you want. I definitely learned to delegate, especially when you're a young filmmaker with not a lot of resources and money. You kind of take on a lot more responsibility on all the departments. And I've realized how important it is to collaborate with people who are way better than you. I learned like filmmaking is a collaborative art form, and the more talented other people are on your team, the better the project will turn out.
Working on a micro budget where you have to do everything is a little bit hard. So what I learned about with my next film is if I'm directing, I will find a really good producer, a really good first AD, and so I can actually focusing on creating the story. But that's what I learned.
I made films by myself with my phone. And so this is the first time I'd collaborated with other people. I was very intimidated by that as a prospect, and by the end it was not scary to me anymore. And I've been making short films ever since in a way that has felt really fun. And it's something I'm really passionate about.
It was like a fun thing, but there was lots of people, so it took a while for me to get used to seeing them.
This was my debut as a director. Before that, I was always very scared. I've just learned that if you find the right people and the right story, you can do anything. And I feel like I really grew throughout that project. I love you, yeah. And it's now something that I really grew passionate about.
Certainly that we're capable of stepping outside of our comfort zone. I learned that, we can do it, especially with so many people want to make cool stuff. You just got to give them the opportunity. It was really great to see the team and everyone just kind of rally together and do something we just never really thought we could do.
Directing and producing is something I'm more interested in. I have some incredibly talented people around me that are extremely gracious with their time and talent. I learned the value of a very talented and giving team around you.
What I learned was that I found it refreshing to get back into acting, and yeah, it just reminds me of to keep in touch and keep open to things that you've had experience with that you enjoy, because that's something that's really enjoyable about film sets and working with your friends is the collaborative environment. It's inspired me to keep opportunities in life open to things like that you do in all avenues of life.
I do find that putting yourself out there into the film scene, and just even if it's with a whole new cast of people, you all get to know each other by the end of the day because you're all there. You just bring yourself out through the character as well. That I just find it truly helps get comfortable with people being in the same set and learning from each other.
What I have gained from this is that when you work with others, you get the experience that you learn from other people, and then you try to do your own thing at the same time. You try to do what you can, and you try to keep with doing what's best,
I think part of it is letting go of your own very specific vision and allowing the team to do that and allowing other people to do that and giving enough confidence in it. Everyone is equal as far as input, and I think that just provides better quality stuff because it's creative, and sometimes it's just one crazy idea that puts it all together.
I think I learned about myself that I can act sometimes, so long as there's a good script, good people. As as long as everything else is great, I could probably manage. It's about who's around you.
You did good, buddy.
Thanks.
I would say I learned to really trust a team, trust others in the process and my collaborators. I trust my scene partner first, and I trust the director. That's what I learned, is to trust.
And we wanted to recreate the most accurate version from the classic, comics, from the comic books or the animated series. We take a lot of influence from the video games as well. So what we wanted to recreate in this teaser trailer, that also works as a little short film, is all that atmosphere that we have, in the games, in the video games.
Us as filmmakers never realized how much accessibility needs to be in this industry and how much it needs to be incorporated, and it is a constant changing and shifting beast.
Accessibility doesn't just affect the most common people who will benefit from accessibility. Everyone will benefit in some way from more accessibility features, because everyone is different and will require different settings or different visual cues or audio cues depending on who they are to be able to experience these stories. And it put it into perspective for me.
We needed to be really careful with our casting. We spread the net very wide, and then when we got that down to a couple of people, it was about how they acted together. What people call like a chemistry test was very important.
I felt like it wasn't really hard because he just gave us such clear direction in each scene. And it was all him because he knew exactly what he wanted. So he's like, all right, I want you guys to do this and I want it to be like this. Like, he had a very, very, very clear vision with it. So it made it really, really easy to just be able to do the part.
Done a take and it went well, and you want to take a second take. Really try to make it as different as possible. It taught me a lot as a performer completely. That do it different every time.
And just seeing the way they work together it inspires you, and you can take little nuances that they would use.
Learned a lot about the production. I feel very fortunate to be able to make these kinds of things. I'm always learning kind of mechanical things about how to economize my time, and when I'm able to kind of spend time making these kinds of projects, so production strategies. But it's just kind of reaffirmed to me that this is what I really love doing.
Project management and producing ends up being kind of cumbersome. The bigger thing you have to do, it's almost like a separate job in itself to get the planning and the scheduling and that thing. It's like it makes a whole new job.
I was going to say I should plan more and also maybe stretch before I sprint. The Ferris Bueller sequence, we did, it took 8 takes actually, and on the very first take, actually I think pretty much nearly ripped a thigh muscle. So for the other remaining takes, I was probably going a bit slower because of the leg problem. But yeah, I should probably prepare a bit more in the future, I guess.
Did you call an Uber?
Yeah. That I should not try and have as minimal a production staff as I had on this film. I learned that myself, and I have more human limits than I thought I might have done. Some of it was completely solo, some of it was with local people, but all of it was very, very shoestring. That made it much, much more difficult on me. Take it easier on yourself as a filmmaker than I did.
We make assumptions about artwork that we see. One of those is that artist made exactly what they wanted to make. But anytime I'm working on anything, I've got 100 things going on in my head, and I might have 100 goals that I want to get in on this film. At a certain point I go, not everything needs to get in this one project. I sort of learned with this is how to set hard deadlines, set concrete goals, set priorities on things. Otherwise, I might not ever finish it.
I guess fundamentally, the big thing that I learned about myself making this film is that ultimately that preparation is key with any film that you make, but in particular this type of films that we have made. But I think to add to that, it's okay to experiment as well in the moment as well, especially in the moment, whether it's in regards to camera setups or even performance, because if you give the freedom to an actor to just go with their instincts, you'll find something really great in the moment there. And that for me was one of the best things that I learned throughout this entire thing was actually going with my gut.
Big LED walls. That's a big part of the work that I've done in the past, and I really enjoy it, actually. I think the cool part about it is it doesn't require writing. It doesn't require, you literally just, it's like a DJ. Like you pull your your bank of clips, and you just live mix video to music. It's so much fun. I love doing it. So I thought, how can I get a little bit of that into a film?
We wanted the set to be a character itself. And I hope it worked. Yeah, it did. Okay, I'm grateful. Yeah, amazing.
Look, there's a bed. Yeah. Oh, look, there's a broken wall. Oh, look.
Yeah, all we did was bring in like bed sheets to cover the bed because,
But at the end, we found out that we are really bad actors. And because Daniel is really great in doing these animations, it basically went into this direction.
Really stretched my muscles like as an actor. Just experimenting with it was a lot of fun.
There were things that surprised me in the edit that I captured unintentionally that ended up working out and being sort of definitely funnier moments that I realized as I got into later episodes and later versions of the Henchman kind of anthology, that to really just sit there and play with them and give them some movements that are totally unlike everything in the script, open up opportunities that you come back to later and like, oh, well, now if I drop, the beautiful thing is their mouths don't move. So you can always add a line anywhere in the process, and yeah, trying to find some of those actions and movements that you didn't think you needed, that can always kind of be funny and give you something different to work with than you planned on.
Go with your gut, and you wouldn't have any idea how many of the ideas I came up with after the fact and then was like, oh, well, I could add that line in there. Wouldn't that be funny and ironic if I took that C-3PO line and gave it to so-and-so? So many things, just sort of wonderful, serendipitous, mistakes or whatever that just lead to good filmmaking, and just, planning isn't everything, I guess.
This film has taught me how much power and healing can come from being a little silly and chaotic. I really want to tap into that wisdom of my inner child. I will say, I think what I learned is that maybe growing up isn't all that it's cut out to be.
Especially in adult life, we don't usually have places where we can play and be silly and have fun. And it's nice that there's a place for adults where you can be that way. It kind of invites you to get a little bit more creative yourself and to be a little bit more vulnerable as well.
I learned it didn't take long to make a documentary and document something significant in your life. I guess it was easy for me. I just showed up and played with toys for a day.
Have fun and celebrate the little victories. Otherwise, what's the point?
Oh, well, yeah. So Andrew and I have been friends for 10 years now. We met in college.
I grew up to hate him, really.
And we actually worked together. And we worked for a production company together, just the two of us.
Yeah, pretty much.
So, he was around. I was like,
he was right there.
I was like, hey, you want to help me?
I think we were working on the ladder just for the green screen, just pitching nonsense.
Yeah, we were just kind of coming up with ideas because, like I said, the pandemic was kind of hard on everyone. So we're like,
what should we do?
Why don't we do this dumb project that just came on our...
Embrace the things that you love. Embrace the influences that really are near and dear to you. I like weird fake sword battles. I like silly Vietnam movies, and I like all my friends. So let's bring them all together and do it and see what happens. And it was one of the most fun film experiences I've ever had.
And you just ask. You ask fans, and fans are just so wonderfully responsive. They all are, it's like there isn't, I think I've said before, there isn't really the delineation that there used to be between, people who worked on the program, those people like me that sit in the middle, and fans. Now it's a nebulous group of everything. I mean, I work with people from the program, I work with fans, and we all work together. And if I put out an appeal asking people for assistance to make something, I always get a massive response, which I am incredibly grateful for.
You can create things with an extremely low budget that make people laugh
and you have a lot of fun. We all played Mario Baseball when we were kids and stuff. Let's give it a shot. More and more people from the Smash Bros. Club were like, oh, we should go to the Mario Baseball Club. It's at this house Tuesday night. Bring your TVs, we'll plug in the GameCube and we'll play some Mario Baseball. And like 20 or 30 people gather. And with that, you know, the interest started and the club grew and grew. Eventually we were like, we're having a really good time with this and we're all pretty funny. Let's just start uploading videos. We all of a sudden had 20 subscribers. And oh, well, you know, we have a small community, people commenting, let's make a Discord server.
Oh yeah, I mean, we have over 8,000 subscribers and I know most of them aren't really playing the game. They're just like, wow, you guys are funny and cool.
Yeah, pretty much. I would say a majority of people just either watch for us or they watch because, you know, maybe they don't have people to play with, even though there is an online scene. Not everybody's involved in it, but a lot of people just enjoy watching Mario Superstar Baseball.
Anything that made me laugh or it made me smile or it brought a tear to my eye, I thought, yeah, we'll do that. Of course, because of Doctor Who being, you know, quite a commercial license, we kind of just pushed to the edge of what we could get away with. So I think for the first and only time in a real-time show, there is a bit of Doctor Who playing in the background, real Doctor Who, although it's slightly blurred, so you can't see it totally. But, you know, we just had a go. I gave the first couple of edits to Keith, who's a great producer, and said, perhaps don't use that bit, or is there any more of that person? And we just sort of, you know, got it to the right place where we felt we had something fun.
I knew that I didn't just want to do another nature documentary because that's been done. The one thing I found in running my own cultivation business is that I crossed paths with a lot of very interesting people whom I felt had really interesting stories to tell about how carnivorous plants affected them.
By talking to people that are knowledgeable, you glean a lot of information.
This is my son. Name? Nee.
Sun-drenched, you know, memories of playing GoldenEye, you know, like over the summer break or something, and just like how much that stuck with us. And I think that as we got older, it's just sort of harder to like hang out and be in a space with your friends where there's not like a clearly defined schedule of things you must accomplish, and just like that playful sense of joy and how important it is to keep that alive.
I have very strong memories associated with the specific games because I had a lot of time playing with a friend. I think that was a really strong influence on my thoughts and like where my relationships with those people have gone over time. And you still try to maintain that relationship, but other stuff gets in the way.
You never have work that's done. You have work that you ran out of time and money.
As a filmmaker, you've always got to have some sort of a professional credit, you know, to get more funding as sort of a meritocracy in the Australian film industry, as is life, I suppose.
You pretty much lose track of the rest of the world, and all you and your best friend are pretty much in this. You and your 2 or 3 best friends are kind of in this. The hardest thing was the money, got a little lonely, and it just took forever. My goodness. But it's worth it. We're really proud of it.
So many people want to make a movie, you know, and we would ask them, hey, you want to help us make this movie? Yeah. But as soon as you call them and you're like, hey, buddy, are you ready? They're all, oh, you know, I got to do this and I got to do that. And there was a lot of that over the years. When it was time to get their hands dirty, most of them would just fall to the wayside. You just keep going and you keep going, and eventually you're just like, I can't give up now. I've gone too far. I can't give up.
I learned not to take, I guess, myself too seriously. Once you start doing acting as like a job, it felt like you just have to, you want to garner people's respect, and you want to show people what you're doing, and that, yeah, I can get paid for this. Yeah, I can be a serious actor. I find that like I started losing some of the enjoyment that I had from doing projects, because you get so stressed about everything having to be perfect. I think by trying to make it as good as you possibly can, you actually take yourself out of the work. When you just do things spur of the moment, when you just do things for fun, then you can actually make good acting out of it, to be honest, because I can watch it and I can see, yeah, I'm not overacting there, I'm not overthinking there, I'm just playing, I'm just having fun. It comes across really natural.
A lot of this film was me killing my perfectionist side. The most important thing is just to do something now, even if your perfectionist instincts tell you, yeah, but what you do now isn't that good. What isn't that good has the potential to become great.
To put aside this critical voice that I think we all carry, it can keep you from trying. Many times, literally saying to that portion of my brain, you go sit over here for a while. We'll come back to you, maybe, at some point.
Great questions. I have a lot of patience, more than I thought. I didn't know this. when I finish it short, I realize this.
And I'm very, very patient and willing to finish things.
How I learned to be a bit more patient and a bit more spontaneous at the same time.
I learned that I can do what I love to do. I'm capable of doing it. So I'm ready to go to the next stage. So this is the platform which made me to prove who I am, and that through my husband, he helped me to get to know that I am capable of doing something which I like to do.
When I am writing, I felt Narmi character. Then only I write in my paper about that character. So I deeply understand my wife and deeply understand my life also. This is my learning from this script.
I think I learned to be kind of accepting of other people's interests, see the person behind the interest, you know? Maybe an interesting conversation could come out of that despite my interest not matching up. So I think that's in my character development, if you will.
That I can overcome what I've achieved before, and that has inspired me to complete bigger and larger projects and see where it can go.
As an artist, I've just learned that no idea, no voice is too small. You can't be afraid to throw ideas out there because you never know what idea might transcend and resonate with someone.
I did was affirm something. We have it all here. Like, it was just affirming to see reflected back what I've already believed.
I learned a lot about self-confidence. When you are doing a project, it's like it's not just you. You have your film, you have your project, and it's not you who are leading the team and leading the crew. And I discovered that I was capable of doing so much work, and it was very, very, very hard. And I think I learned a few years of experiences in just 1 week of shooting, but I also lost a few years of my life.
It was kind of like that domino effect. So it's sort of being very hesitant at first of what it's turned into now. I think be a bit more open, be experimentative. If it doesn't go well, at least it's a lesson.
I take a lot of time for prep and shooting. And when Johnny was like, all right, we have like 6 hours to do this, I'm like, that's not gonna happen. I learned that my control freakness can simmer down a little bit.
That I can let go. I wrote this and then put it in Jono's hands and was very happy, felt good about it.
Trust is a good answer. Yeah, trusting my coworkers, my wonderful director of photography, trusting the cast, and in a big way, trusting myself too, because it's easy to self-limit, especially working with no budget indie film stuff. It's easy to think this is just a crazy idea. Why try to make this happen? With every project, I learn more and more just how joyful an experience that is.
For me, it taught me that we don't have just a great marriage, we also make a great production team together.
Becoming someone else, acting, it just gives you the chance to deal with some stuff and also maybe explore other sides of your personality and help you realize better who you actually are outside of acting.
I forgot that I love to act. I started off as an actor. I studied acting. I got my degrees in acting, but that was 20 years ago, and because I never got hired as an actor and got to do that, I moved on and did other things and produced and directed and wrote. I forgot that I never quit acting. It just didn't work out. And then when I did this, I was like, oh, I need to put myself in more of my things because I really get a lot of joy out of this.
I'm very grateful to be here talking with all of you. And that would not have happened if I hadn't done the first film, if I hadn't done the second film, if I hadn't done any of my films, and I understand that. So, being here on this earth, I just take it one day at a time, and I just am very grateful.
I think I learned that I need to love what I'm doing. Otherwise, I may not even complete it. If I like doing something, I'm going to complete it no matter what.
At this point, sometimes you need to be exposed to, tragic things like, for instance, death that reminds you that you have a finite life, and if you're not doing what you want to do with your life, you do it right now, then it may be too late.
You get through more than you think, but you have this whole big film production before you, and it's so overwhelming. Sometimes you just think, oh my God, how are we going to get through this? But in the end, it works out.
I learned that just keep going. It was very difficult to put this shooting together, lots of inconvenience, but we just kept going on because I spent 2 years in the editing and VFX process. It's more complex than I thought to make this type of film.
Being a creative, you always run into roadblocks. I don't think I knew how committed I could be to look at the late nights and be surrounded by people who are just as committed and say, yeah, we're going to do this.
The turtle, you know what they say, 4 legs and a shell full of animation, that you're going to win. You just have to keep going. That is 100% true. Encouragement is important. Collaboration is important. Not stopping is even more important.
It took a lot of grit and determination. It was fun times, but it was a lot of hard work, both mentally and physically. And I think now we can just sit back and just enjoy it for what it was and reap the rewards.
At the destination is the journey. I'll realize it's about one laugh in one moment and cherishing that moment for the rest of your life, because that happened, you did it, you know? And every one moment that I can get a reaction, even if it's a heckle, that's what it's about. That's what I'm living for. That's success to me.
All of these years down the road, and there are new paths, new adventures, and new excitement awaiting. I'm looking forward to it. Plants are what's going to teach us, how to survive, without a doubt.
When you have an idea and you just get rid of all the excuses and just go and make it, I feel like it's always better to go and do it and learn from it than sitting on the idea phase for way too long and then never actually accomplishing it. But also another thing I learned was that I think this is what I would like to do. Like when I was on set, and then even when I was in post, I kind of had moments of just realizing like this is what I would like to do with my life, potentially on a bigger scale even than this, but even just this, getting to movies and then share it with an audience is what I love to do. And if I can make a living doing it, then that would be perfect.
Oh, well, apart from learning that I use my phone too much and that my children don't like it. Yeah, I think if you've got an idea and there's something that you want to do, and if you've got the right people there to help you out, you should just go for it and don't worry too much about what the end result will be, because however it turns out, you'll learn a lot throughout the process.
It's also the thing that saved me, my creativity. Come to life. I feel like I have a purpose in life. Like this is my calling, and I've been able to show what I did on this film to employers, and potentially, hopefully, maybe getting budgets for new projects, setting meetings, now having a film on Tubi. So all of this, I feel like, just moved the needle in the direction that I always was trying to go. If you have a dream, stick to it and follow it.
Hi, this is Danny, director of Crisis. Before you see the film, I want to introduce you my superhero, the Galactic Drifter. You will see now.